So I am happy to say that I am bringing you various experts that I've found out and about into the Tiny Biz Village so that we can have this sense of it doesn't always have to be the hustle struggle. And how else could it be done? And one of the first people that I met was Sara. And we met through Facebook, right, in another group. And I was like, oh, I think she sounds interesting. We should connect. And when we chatted, I was like, yes, she's somebody that I want you guys to find out about so that we can all have a better way to simplify some of our operations in our tiny businesses. So let me go ahead and read you her bio. Sara Finns is an expert financial and certified health coach. Now, that's a great combination, who spent over a decade as an accountant in the corporate world and a decade running her own health coaching practice, right? She's one of us. Now she blends her accounting background and entrepreneurial experience to help other solopreneurs manage and master their business finances with ease. You can see why I wanted to bring her in, right? Through her private coaching programs, workshops, and her signature course, Easy Business Bookkeeping, Sara helps small business owners feel confident, take their business to the next level, and earn the money and freedom they desire. When Sara isn't working with clients, you'll find her hanging out with friends and family or curling up with a good book in her Long Island, New York home. She loves to travel and see the world, and her favorite place to relax and recharge is at the beach. So welcome, Sara, and thank you for coming in to share with us.
Oh, thank you for having me, Karen. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, great. So I thought it would be perfect, first of all, for you to share a little bit about your business model and whether or not you're out to dominate the world.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so my business model is, I mentioned in my bio, I did health coaching before pivoting over back into the accounting world. And actually, one of the reasons I did that was because I wanted to kind of focus in and pare things down a little bit. And so I discovered through my health coaching work that many solopreneurs were struggling in the area of managing their business finances. So other health coaches and other professionals I was coming across, and I thought, it doesn't need to be that difficult, right? So I created my course, which is a very easy, straightforward way to manage your business finances so you can really understand what's going on there. And when I designed the course, what I had in mind was ease. That's why I called it Easy Business Bookkeeping, but ease in the sense of from the user perspective, but also from my business perspective. So I created it in course format so that it was something that I could launch, over and over, not have to recreate the wheel, and be able to reach more people without spending hours and hours on my business, as I was doing in the one-on-one side of my health coaching business. And so that's kind of twofold. I wanted it to be easy for the user and not suck up a lot of the user's time, and then also the same thing to help me kind of streamline in my business from the teaching and sharing.
I love that. I think that that's often missing in a lot of the ways that we're taught to be in business. The customer comes first, as though the customer were the only one in the relationship sometimes.
Right.
And so when you say you take that and you also make it so it would be easy for you to run it, I think that is a really, really key point.
Yeah, it was really important for me to have something sustainable that I could offer, in addition to, of course, some private coaching and other things, as the business grows and the need is there. But I wanted to have a core offering that was, easy for both parties. So
right. Yeah. And then what do you do with the freedom that allows you?
Oh, well, at the moment, I spend a lot of time with my kids.
Oh,
I have, yeah,
yay!
I have two tweens, so 10 and 12 years old, almost 11 and 13. And so, although I don't need to be hands-on with them every day, there's always, the taxiing and the driving and the homework help and all the other things. And so it was really important to me. And one of the reasons I left the corporate world was because I wanted to have some more flexibility to be around for my kids. And so that's what I'm doing, on the baseball field, on the softball field, because they both play
Right.
sports, and driving and all the things. And I know that this period of my life is not going to last forever. And so I want to be able to be present as much as I can, but while also still doing work that's important to me and helping people, in the coaching industry. So
See, the best of all worlds. And I can so relate to that. I think we talked about, I've just been moving my mom into senior living. And it's the last chance I'm going to have to really get in there and spend time with her, helping her to downsize her household and everything. But it's a blinking 30-hour a week job, just going
yes.
through all of her stuff. And I'm so lucky that I could say, these are the clients I'm currently serving. I just won't take any more on for a little bit. And it gives me the time to do that. Now that we're completing, I can pick up again and say, okay, there's a season where I can open the space again. So I love that you're just like honoring that the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah. And it's really true. Like sometimes I blink and think, how is my oldest almost 13? It's crazy. So
Yeah,
it goes by
yeah,
so fast.
that's great. So when you're looking at somebody who's a solopreneur, maybe they're starting up or maybe they're downsizing, either way, what do you think are the most important financial numbers for them to be watching?
Yeah, I think the most important numbers that someone with a small business can keep an eye on is their revenue numbers, of course, because we need, although you may want to keep your business small, you still need to be generating enough income for your lifestyle, right? So it's really important to be able to look at the different revenue that's coming in and very important in this aspect too, what is taking more time and maybe not bringing you in as much money versus a program you might be offering where you're spending less time. So maybe you have a course, that you teach and that's translating to more revenue for less time. That might be more of where you want to spend your money. So I think looking at your revenue is really important, as well as your expenses. So when I say that, what I mean is to really look at them on a regular basis, because oftentimes what I found is many solopreneurs wait till tax time. And then
More than once a year?
right. And then they're pulling everything together, and that's great because you need to do that. But if you're looking at it throughout the year and you're managing it over time, then you can really understand where you can invest in your business, where you might be able to pare down expenses. I'm sure we've all been in a place where we've signed up for something and then we haven't used it, but the payment is auto recurring and you don't realize until 6 months later because you haven't kept close track of it. So especially in a smaller, more downsized business, you want to be really streamlined in that respect so that where your money's going and maybe it's going in places you don't need it to be. So tracking the revenue, tracking the expenses, and then keeping track of your expenses for tax purposes. So you can many of those can be taken as deductions. So yeah, so I think that's really important too, because then that saves you money in the long run. You pay less in taxes at the end of the year, completely legally, of course, using your business expenses as a deduction. And so yeah, those are the ones that I focus on. And then of course, in that, you also want to look at your profit and loss statement to see if you actually are in fact making a profit.
Now, when you say profit and loss statement, what are the elements of that?
So I use a very simple one in my course, and it's basically just your revenue minus your expenses.
Okay.
To show you, do you have profit? Because many of the solopreneurs I work with are, their businesses are very lean in that they're coaches and they're service-based businesses. And so there's not a lot of overhead. And so there's really not a ton more that you need to look at besides the revenue and the expenses of things to find out what your profit is. So there isn't a lot of overhead in terms of, office space and assets and things like that. So
Right.
yeah.
And you've brought out two very distinct things there, revenue and profit, right? And knowing the difference between those. Could you explain that a little?
Yeah, sure, exactly. Sometimes I have a tendency to speak in accountant speak. But yes, so the revenue is the money that you bring in your business. So any money that comes in from whatever form that you're selling, courses, affiliate fees, products. And then the profit is what's left over after expenses. And so there's a lot of things to determine, when I say expenses, what I mean are your operating expenses of your business. So the expenses you need to run your business. So maybe an email service or, your website, things like that. But then you also want to make sure you're setting aside some money to pay your taxes, because as a solopreneur, you're not getting a W-2, so your company is not taking taxes out for you. You need to do that yourself. So I recommend setting up a separate bank account or a savings account attached to your business account, just to transfer that money each month or each week whenever you reconcile your finances, just so you have it there and you don't have to worry about it.
I love that.
Yeah. And then, after you factor in those things that you need to spend money on, what's left over is your profit.
Yeah. And I think that's a really, really important distinction. I mean, I'll get on a soapbox for that all day, because I think a lot of what we see in the online marketing space, a lot of the hustle culture talks about have your 6-figure business, have your 7-figure business, but they're only talking about revenue.
Yes.
And sometimes they're spending so much to get it, they're literally taking home less than I am.
Yeah.
In my little streamlined business.
Absolutely. Yeah. You couldn't be more right. I mean, there's, if you're paying all this money for Facebook ads and, a marketing person and a social media manager and all, you could pay for all the things, but then what are you bringing home at the end of the day after you factor that in? So that's really important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So how is the best way to know what I'm bringing home at the end of the day? Certainly my old checkbook register written by hand is outdated. What do you recommend is the next step from there?
I think the most important thing is to have a system that you will use. So yeah, because what I also see, which is another reason why I created the course the way that I did, is that I see many people either hiring a bookkeeper or buying expensive software, say QuickBooks or something or an equivalent like that, but then they don't use it because they pay all this money to have someone set it up, but then they don't actually know how to use it or how to take the numbers out of it once they put their numbers in it, if that makes sense. So if they're using it, then at the end of the day, they don't know how to generate a report or see what they need to see. So I think the easiest thing you can do is something that you will use. And so for my course, I designed a very easy Excel-based tracking tool. And so it's not super fancy, but it gets the job done and it's easy to navigate. And so the reason why I did that is because I wanted the users to be able to really understand and look at what was going on, look at the revenue, look at the expenses, look at their profit. And then when it comes time to prepare their taxes, they can use that to provide to their tax accountant or to do it themselves. And then if their business grows, if they are growing their business and they decide they need to outsource their accounting at some point, then you can have a really strong starting point to provide to your outside accountant. And just one caveat though with that, if you do outsource your accounting, please make sure you have regular meetings with your bookkeeper to go over your numbers so you're still really close to your numbers, even if you're not the one managing them on the day-to-day. So
yeah, I think, again, there's a big difference between outsourcing and abdicating.
yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You still need to keep a pulse on it because then you're in the same boat where you don't look at it until the end of the year and then you're not making decisions with the numbers that you have which, is really, I feel, the smartest way to manage your business. So
Definitely. And even to be able to look and say, do my expenses match my values? Right? Like, am I overspending on something that I actually, that doesn't match my values? Or would a small additional investment really maximize how my business is contributing to my values? I'm thinking of something like this place that my mom is going to doesn't have recycling. Right? And I was like, what if my business didn't even have recycling and I could add that curbside pickup for a small fee and really change the way that my business is interacting with my community and the planet? So I think those kinds of things are the ways that we can look at overall matching our values with our finances.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. Cool. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you or find out more about your magic spreadsheet and the course on how to actually be a good user and steward with it, where can they connect with you?
Yeah, well, the best place to find me is on Instagram and at Easy Business Bookkeeping. You can also find me on my website, sarafins.com, and there's links to all the things there. And I do have a free Facebook community called the Easy Business Bookkeeping Community, and I hang out in there a lot. I'm always sharing information and going live and giving some tips and tricks. So those are the best places to find me on the internet. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email through my website, and I would love to connect.
Yeah, and I really appreciate how easy it was for me to connect with you and how smoothly the conversation flowed, right? So it wasn't like some person talking full of jargon or somebody who had no clue what my real life is as a solopreneur. And that made it so much easier to be able to just like dive in and talk about the good stuff.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear that, because as I mentioned, that's my goal, really, is to make it simple. I was at a conference once and the person that was running it had a very successful business, and she said something to the effect of, I had no idea how to manage my finances or even understand what was going on until someone explained it to me in a way that I could understand. And then I was able to really take the reins of my business. And that kind of stuck with me. And I was like, huh. So my goal, as I said, is to keep it simple. And so
Yay.
thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Awesome. Great. Well, I hope everybody gets a chance to check out Sara's website and follow her on Instagram and check out her Facebook group as well. And thank you, Sara, for joining us today. And I look forward to seeing you around the Tiny Biz Village.
Sounds great. Thanks, Karen.
All right. Great. And I'll just cut it there.